What is going on, guys? Hope everybody's doing well. Today, we're working on a Sears Super 12. This is kind of like that Sears I got, but this is the Super 12. Look at here, electric start, headlights. So, it doesn't have a mowing deck. It's got a set of tractor treads in the rear. Probably was set up for a pulling lawnmower. But this old guy, he's gonna just use it to pull stuff, aerate his yard and do yard work and stuff like that. And it's a really neat old tractor. It's pretty solid. Paint job is a little shoddy on it, but it'll be okay. It looks good. It runs good, but the carburetor is leaking fuel. It just, if you let it sit there, it'll puddle out on the ground and run all the fuel out of it. And then the headlight switch doesn't work, and there's no wires to the headlights. So we're going to rewire all the headlights and make sure they work, and then just kind of give this thing a tune-up, change oil in it, and go out here and find something to pull with it. Here's just kind of a quick walk around this thing. It's got a 3-speed transmission with high and low, your throttle. And another thing we're supposed to do, we're going to put a choke cable on this thing, because to choke it, you got to lift the hood and reach up here manually and flick that choke. So we're going to hook a cable to it, run it back, and it'll come through right here. And then, like I said, you're supposed to be able to pull that switch out. You can't pull it out. And then they got the ground wires, but there's no power. No power coming in. So we're going to fix that, make sure those headlights burn. But anyway, I mean, it's a pretty solid old tractor. Here's where I was talking about. Paint job's a little shoddy, got some runs in it, some overspray. But starter generator, it's missing a bolt down there we got to put in it. And then if the belt wasn't on there, this notch here, you could stick your rope in there. You tie a knot on the end of your rope and put it on the outside, and then loop it around, and you can pull crank it. So even if you break the belt, you can still crank this thing. And there's your information on the engine. Here's the carburetor, and it's got a fuel shut off here, and then that right there is a button. So if you had water in your carburetor, you can just hit that and it runs the fuel out of the carburetor bowl, and you can get rid of your water. That's a great idea until it leaks, and it's leaking. So we're going to take this carburetor off, clean it out, see if we can find a seal kit for it and rebuild it. Alright, here's that carburetor off that Sears, and right there's that button I was telling you about. You mash that and it'll run the fuel out of the carburetor. So we'll just go ahead and there's some kind of little O-ring or gasket in there that is no good because it's leaking. So we'll go ahead and take this bowl off. Neat thing about this is it's flathead screw. That is where you adjust your main jet. And you can take a bowl off by removing that. And then your fuel shut off here, your idle, and then your air bleed mixture screw is here. So it's a pretty sophisticated carburetor. I mean, it should run good without any trouble. I like the ones that are spring loaded. That way if your linkage pops off, they don't go haywire, they just shut down. But there you go. Alright guys, we got that carburetor taken apart here. You can see it's got all kinds of trash down in the bottom. I mean, it just got full of dirt. So to be expected on an old lawnmower. It's okay. But we're going to break out that soda blaster again and clean this carburetor up too. Guys, I'm telling you, if you hadn't got you a soda blaster to clean these carburetors with, you need to get one. I'm telling you, You use one, you'll fall in love with it because it's so much better than having to take Scotch-Brite or a wire brush or something like that to scratch out and clean all these up. Man, just soda blast them things. But anyway, like I said, you can do it for cheap. Go to Harbor Freight and get you a spot blaster and just put baking soda in it. And the reason I use baking soda is because it's not real abrasive. It doesn't really take away material off your carburetor. It just kind of cleans the surface. It doesn't really take the surface off. It will take junk and paint and stuff like that that's on the surface off, but won't remove the actual metal and material like if you was to put it in a sandblaster or a glass bead blaster or anything like that. Soda blast, I mean, the baking soda is so fine. That's where it's at, guys. Because I want you to look inside that bowl there. Look at that. That is clean. Y'all seen what it looked like before. And it actually, where that tractor has been painted and it had overspray on the carburetor, it took that overspray off the carburetor. I'll get that and I'll show you that too. Alright guys, here's that carburetor. I mean, look at that. Is that not just, I mean, that is just plumb pretty. It looks brand new. I mean, for the most part, hey, it's still got a little paint on there, but it'd be alright. These jets cleaned up good. Look at that. So, there's your main. So, let's put this thing back together and see what we got. Alright, we got that carburetor cleaned out, soda blasted, looks like brand new. Put some fuel back in it, let's see what we got. Turn the fuel on, key on, we'll give it a little gas, choke. Alright guys, we got the old Sears Super 12 up and running, serviced. We got the new headlight switch installed. We got a choke installed. We got this carburetor cleaned out in running order. And here's what we done for that choke cable. Made this little bracket come up, holds it across there, loops back and runs up to the dash here. You pull the cable, pulls the choke. So that's all we needed. Works like a top. So I got my little aerator hooked up back here. I know now is the wrong time of year to be aerating your yard and trying to sow grass seed, but I've got a spot over here. We're going to use this thing to pull that and tear that yard up and see if we can get some grass sowed back and growing, and that'll be that. Let's make it work. guys. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned.